Charese Josie here for our Grown Woman Talk. This week we're going to talk about women leaders and confidence. And I'm going to talk to you about how this topic kind of came about and why I'm shifting my position and my focus in terms of who I'm talking to and what things are about and who I want to focus on and why. And I decided to focus more on women in leadership. This can include entrepreneurs. This can include you being a manager, a director, anyone leadership on your job. So this is who this is directed toward, that population. And I'm doing this because it's lonely at the top, right? It's really lonely at the top. Women leaders don't always have a voice in certain areas. We have to present a certain way. We have to know certain information. We have to show up and show out. And we have to be on the spot and ready for that. And that's where the confidence comes in. But what we don't always realize is that, is it confidence? Is it the employer? Is it the people? If you supervise it, is it my employee in this relationship to get this goal going? Okay. And so that's what I want to focus on about, are we asking the right questions when we're interacting, right? So I want to teach women and teach you about your confidence and how to create some boundaries and how to strengthen relationships, right? So how many of you believe that relationships are important in leadership? If you believe that, just give me a heart or a like or drop a 1 in the comments, whatever. If you believe that relationships are important in leadership, just let me know. Just kind of drop that in there and let me know if you believe that relationships are important. And then the second thing I want you to think about is how many of you focus on the relationship in your role as a leader, as a director, as a manager, as a person in charge. How many of you focus on the relationship? So this is a misperception. Most of us think we're good at everything that we do, right? If we're in charge of something, we're in charge of it because we're good at it. Someone told us we're good at it. We told you we're good at it. You believed me. Here I am in this position. I am good at it, right? I know this job. I know this work. Ask me anything. I got it. If I don't know, I'm going to figure it out. And you may or may not know that I didn't know it to begin with, right? So usually we know that we're good in that, right? And so this is how I came to learn. I always considered myself mature, and I considered myself confident in certain areas and in certain situations. I would say that, oh, that's just not my thing. That's just not my strength. This is better for somebody else. I shine here. I don't shine there, right? That's how I kind of justified that. So I didn't think of it as confidence because I would consider myself confident when it came to work. What I didn't give a lot of credit to was the relationship piece, right? Because I had friends, but I had friends who fell into my comfort zone. How many of you all in leadership have to lead people who do not fall into your comfort zone? Their personality does not fall within your realm of personality that makes it comfortable, right? And so when that happens, is it the person, is it the situation, or is it the confidence? Right? Have you learned how to navigate that? So that's what I want to talk about in terms of asking the right questions, because the right question is going to build your confidence to continue to build these relationships, to continue to have the conversation, and to know exactly where these issues lie. Because you have to know that part becomes really important. Is it me? Is it this other person? Is this person a good fit? All those things, when it may be you. Have you ever had a supervisor that you knew wasn't intimidated by your confidence? Most of us have either experienced it or witnessed it, right? And then they usually make for a very unhealthy work environment. So success in leadership, a couple things, success in leadership. One is your mindset and your confidence. I don't care how expert that you think you are. If your mindset and your confidence is not there, I promise you, you will not achieve the results that you want to achieve. You have to have your mindset and confidence correct. That's what I want to focus on, is our mindset and the confidence. The second is your relationships. Successful leadership. The second is the relationships that you build. The last is the execution. That's the work. You got hired because you were good, but that's the last thing that's going to make you successful in where you're at. That's one of the reasons why I talked about this, just in terms of success and leadership. The other thing I would talk about is some of the questions that are asked on social media. So again, in social media, we'll take it for what it is. People ask questions, but people will give this long scenario, right? Give you a long play-by-play of something that's happened. At the very end, it'll say, what do you think I should do? And sometimes I'll read the long scenario, and sometimes I'm like, this is a lot. And are you asking the right questions? Have you ever been at work, whether you're in a leadership position or not, or you've had someone come to you and they say, what should I do? Right? What should I do? That's not the correct question to ask. It's not clear. What should you do about what? What lane are we giving people? So that's what we're going to talk about, okay? So this is important in terms of asking the right questions. One, it's going to save you time. I don't know about you, but my time is important, and when it's wasted, I get frustrated. And I have to be clear, am I wasting my own time, or am I allowing someone else to waste my time? If my time is wasted, I'm already not setting a boundary. So I like things a certain way in order for me to be at my best. When I was supervising, we had different work schedules. So I had a worker who was there maybe an hour or two before I got to work. She already had everything planned. I'm walking in the door with on my back. She would approach me, right, about her questions. We skipped the good mornings, but she would approach me with her questions. I would let her know. I said, let me put my bags down, then I will talk to you. I didn't give her a time because I didn't want to be locked into a time, but I did lock her into a process. When I put everything down, I will come and talk to you, right? So it took her a while to believe me. So she would talk to me continue for some time, and she would talk to me, and I would get all the way to my office, and I would let her finish everything. And as soon as she was done, she would look at me for a response. I said, and when I'm done, I'll come and talk to you. And she would get frustrated, but after a while, she stopped because my time was valuable, right? The second thing is when you're asking the correct questions, it will make it clear to other people how you work. This is your relationship building. I have to make it clear to other people about who I am and how I like to work. Right? Are you making it clear to people who you look up to or your team of how you like to work? What's your schedule? What's your system in the mornings? I had to let a recent supervisor know that don't tell me to do something in terms of traveling last minute. I don't want to come to the office and say, hey, today we're traveling some hours away to go here. I need some advance notice. Letting people know just how we like to work, right? The third benefit of asking the correct question is that's going to limit your frustration, right? When you become clear in how you communicate, it's going to limit your frustration because it eliminates the back and forth clarification that sometimes can get real redundant and frustrating. That's your relationship building. That's also your boundary setting. All right. So here's a false belief if you're an entrepreneur. And I don't know that all entrepreneurs believe this, but if you do, this is the false belief, is that you no longer have a boss. Yes, you do. If you own your own business, if you are an entrepreneur, you do have people and things that are who oversee you. Your boss is your customers. That's your supervisor, your customers, your clients, state, federal regulations, right? Those are your bosses. Your city policy and procedures, your business license, right? Those are your bosses. So you have to have the correct questions in place so that you are communicating effectively to those who have oversight over you. Yes, it's your business, but you are not working alone. If you have a team, then you need to include your team in this. All right. So let's kind of get into some incorrect questions to ask, and then I'm gonna talk about some correct responses. Feel free to come up with something else that maybe I didn't come up with. Okay. So first one, there's three. The first incorrect question or incorrect thing to do when you're asking a question is responding off of your emotions that are masked as facts. So responding with emotions, but it's masked as facts. So what does that look like? You ever had someone say something to you, you know they're being nasty, you know they're being sarcastic, but they say it with a laugh and a smile? That's that. They're responding off of emotions, but they're masking it as facts, right? So an example of that, what happens, we start to defend and we over-explain, right? So let's discuss this in person. So I had this recently happen with my kids, and I was dealing with someone who was watching them, and we were trying to have a I don't know what happened, but we're trying to communicate, right? And it's like, well, we need to talk about this in person. This was the other person. We need to talk about this in person because just this whole scenario, right? And I'm thinking, what happened, right? And so let's discuss this in person. Right? And I'm thinking when I'm saying this example of let's discuss this in person, text message communication is never a good idea. A whole bunch of back and forth email is not a good idea. Once it gets to maybe 2 to 3 times back and forth, someone needs to end the conversation and schedule a time to talk, right? So let's discuss this in person is really actually open-ended. Because we didn't talk about where, we didn't talk about how, we didn't talk about the agenda, we didn't talk about anything. Keep in mind that you're a person in leadership doing this, right? All right. So here's something that a better way, in a clear way to ask a correct question. I can meet you on, give 2 or 3 days and times that work for you, not to accommodate the other person. So don't say what's good for you. Sometimes say, yeah, I can meet. What's a good day and time for you? No, you give 2 or 3 days and times that work for you. Make the other person feel like I have options and these are my boundaries I have to stay within to meet this person in person to talk, right? And then give a specific duration of time. How much time are you allotting to this conversation? I can meet you on Tuesday at 6, Wednesday at 3, Thursday at 4, and we can talk for 30 minutes to talk about this project, insert whatever. So I'm giving you 2 or 3 days and times of options, right? I'm giving you a time limit, how much time I'm going to allot to this conversation, i.e. come prepared, or I'm going to come prepared, right? And this is what we're going to talk about, meaning we're not going to talk about everything under the sun that may be problematic. That may be another day and time that we need to talk about. When you have this discussion, this is a relationship building. If the other person is frustrated about something, allow them time to vent without you interrupting. And you want to build relationships. The outcome, but you want to be able to build those relationships. Allow them to get that feeling out so they feel heard. And now you can move the meeting on. Remember, you only set aside, let's say, for example, an hour. Say, okay, you can talk, right? In your mind, they can talk. But now we have this amount of time to finalize this discussion. Now you know how you need to focus, right? So if you listen to their rant and their frustration and everything that they're saying, you should be listening to pull out the key points, and you're only responding to those key points. That's your boundary, and that's how you are building that relationship. So they feel heard, so you're repeating back what they're saying, but you're also keeping it focused. They're not doing that. Right? Because they're off of emotions and those types of things. All right. The second thing not to do is not to ask an open-ended question. I want you to pay attention this week of how many times you ask an open-ended question. And I'm still thinking about work-related. I'm still thinking about people in leadership. If you're having a difficult situation, what do you expect of me? What will make you happy? What do you need from me? Those are all open-ended questions that you do not want to ask. So if you're in a service profession, meaning like I'm a therapist, so I'm in a service profession, right? So if someone calls me about something or wants a service, I'm not going to ask an open-ended question. I'm going to be as specific as I can. So a question I may ask a new client, tell me what's going on with you right now that brings you to therapy. All right. Here's a not so helpful question. Tell me what's going on with you. How long could that answer be? Now I have done a session, right? I just want to know what's going on right now that's making you want to seek therapy at this time. That's usually I get an answer or two, 1 or 2 sentences, and that's it, because I'm being clear, right? So if you are asking an open-ended question, it gives the impression that you are unsure, that you didn't do your research, and that you're not asking an informed question. All right. And it also gives the impression that whatever happens is based upon the customer, the consumer, the other person, another supervisor, director. It means that your life is now dictated upon this person. That's the impression that you're giving. And I want you to try and think long term. Okay. That's because I don't want anyone to think that they have this power over my life and how I'm going to respond. No, you don't. Right? So I need to be very clear about this is what I'm doing. This is when I'll be back. This is what I have going on. This is once this and then that. Then I'm going to meet with you at this date and time. These are the days and times I have a lot for this. You get what I mean? All right. So here's a way to kind of maybe be a little bit more clear in terms of not asking an open-ended question. And I did something similar to this. I work better with clear deadlines so that I can manage my time and my work. Are you able to give me at least 2 weeks advance notice if you need me to travel or work on a large project? All right? Yes or no? And the answer may be sometimes, which is fair, right? But if it's sometimes, I've already set and let the person know, and I may need to be repetitive, is that I don't work well on short notice. I'm going to have to let you know. And this is whether I'm in a leadership position with someone who's working with me or that I'm supervising, or a peer, like, this is not how I work. I'm going to have to let you know if I can adjust my schedule. I have a lot going on. I can't drop at the drop of a dime and do something. I can't, and also just don't want to. All right. Here's the third thing. Asking questions about everything and you needing to know the details about everything. Everything is a problem. So if everything is a problem, that means nothing is a problem. That means that it may actually be something else. Okay. So if you're upset, generally, I would say about 70% of the time, if you just don't trust the environment and the people, and you're just generally unhappy, you might want to reconsider if this is something that you want to do. And it may be time to move on. It may be something that you have outgrown. Make that okay. Make that okay if it's something that you've outgrown, right? So an example of just everything's a problem. Why are we doing it like this? Do you want to like this or like that? What time frame do you want it? Is this good? Do you want me to do this better? Why are we doing that? I remember I worked at a job and it was at a point where I really just wanted peace in my life. And there's an employee that was making a huge deal about where we were going for the office Christmas party. And I remember thinking, at what point did misery come in that where we're going for the office Christmas party became such a debate? Now, to be clear, the Christmas party was during work, so it wasn't like it was something that was after hours. You're already going to be at work. Second, after the Christmas party, we got to go home. I missed the point. I'm thinking this person's just genuinely unhappy, right? So here's a correct way. One, if you're genuinely unhappy, you might just need to re-examine if this is where you want to go. But in order to be more specific, I may say to somebody, and I do this with my clients, for new clients, the system in place has a 7-day turnaround. Are you able to meet the date by July at 5 p.m.? Right? So I'm being very clear and specific. So for new clients, I'll say, hey, in order to us to see each other, you have to complete this paperwork in 7 days. I need these things from you. If not, the session will be canceled with no opportunity to reschedule. I try to send reminders. Please do not rely on that. This information I'm telling you on the phone will also be in the paperwork, right? I'm being very clear and specific. I'm telling them on the phone verbally. I'm telling them in writing. There's no room for misinterpretation. I don't have to deal with my own guilt. Oh, I feel bad. Da, da, da. I'm like, I laid everything out there on the line. So as my women leaders, just a few things I want you to think about. What are your policies and procedures? You need to have them in place. This is how you start to ask the correct questions. This is how you are able to stay focused. If you don't have policy and procedures in place, you will not be able to ask the correct questions. You will not stay focused. Why? Because you want to serve, because you're excited about this, because you want to do this business. But when we get down to the business part of the business, you have to have some policies and procedures. Your clients, your team, whomever you work with, have to know what box they fit in and where you fit at in that box. If some things aren't yours, say, hey, this one isn't mine. This is your point of contact. The other thing I want you to think about is what motivates you. What motivates you? What makes you feel good? What makes you go? Right? What type of clients, what type of products, what type of services, what is it that make you move, right? And those are the things that you want to lean in a little bit more to. And the other part is what frustrates you. You think about, do I want to keep that or do I want to assign it to someone else? Right? This is how you can keep your boundary. So the things that motivate you, you're like, well, this is my passion, right? This is my baby. I want it a certain way. If someone is babysitting your child, you're going to give them, hey, this is the to-do list, right? This is the policy and procedures to watch my child, right? If someone is pet sitting, hey, these are the foods. This is when my animal typically, right? These are the policy and procedures. If it frustrates you, are we getting rid of it? Are we reassigning it? But something's going to happen so you can ask the correct questions so that you're not getting to that frustrated state all the time. All right. These things will build your confidence. So the confidence is about feeling certain about the truth, feeling certain about your own capabilities, and making sure that you can rely on someone. So it's not all about self, right? You have to be able to rely on someone for something. All right, so if you have any questions, drop in the chat.